It's NAB 2025. The weekend's just started, the week's just started, and there's going to be a lot of announcements this week, a lot to be excited about in new camera technology, audio, and wireless follow focus. Tilta came out with a new one in 8 years, which is pretty exciting. So there's a lot to be excited about at NAB, but then that question comes up, is the Sony FX6 or blank camera still worth it in 2025? It's a popular video that creators make for a very good reason, because we're always trying to up the level of work that we can produce, and technology does help to an extent. Now, if you're a sports cinematographer or documentarian of any kind, I'm gonna say, yeah, anything that was made in the last 5 years, it's still gonna be a great camera. If it shoots 4K, it's gonna be a great camera. Does the FX6 get a thumbs up?
It does. So it's a real camera.
With the one minor exception of maybe the Panasonic S5 that was still struggling with autofocus, because we've all realized that although some of us like to be purists still, and there's a very good use for manual focus, autofocus can really help, especially if you're on lower budget content where it might just be you working on your own. But let's get into the FX6 and why I think it's still just a fantastic camera option for 2025. And again, this may be your specific brand that you're looking at. Just don't go jumping into a new camera every time you see something. Save some money, build your bank account. I've had the Sony FX6 for a little over 4 years now. I believe I got it back in 2022, 21. I've had the FX6 for a little over 3 years now. I got this early in 2022 and it's turned into my main workhorse camera. I have the Sony a7S III and the Sony a7 IV that I'm filming on right now, both of which become great B and C cameras for bigger interview setups. But for the bulk of my work, I do rely on this coming off of the Sony FS7 Mark II. Now, I could have gone with the Sony FX9, but one of the major attractions to this camera for me, as with many thousands of other cinematographers, was the fact that this camera body is half the size and provides the bulk of the features that the FX9 also provided, minus the better sensor that there is a visible difference between the two. But this guy being half the size, with the size of productions that I'm on and the amount of travel that I do, it just made a lot of sense for me. Once you tear this down to this little box right here, take the top handle off, you can pack the entire camera with a couple of lenses inside a Pelican 1535 Air, which is an overhead carry-on bag. And it just made my life a lot easier being able to tear the camera down. Now, that's only one benefit to having a smaller camera. Obviously, one of the other big things is that this camera can also fit onto a small Ronin gimbal. So when I'm shooting, on the odd occasion, I'll be shooting condo development, real estate content, and this guy I can throw it onto a gimbal, have the ND filter built in, and just fly it around, get all the shots I need to really quickly, and get out of that job, because they're not the most fun to do, but it's just a fantastically compact camera with all of the features that you'd expect on a proper cinema body. Now, there's obviously some downsides to having such a small cinema body, and that's that trying to get some of your accessories built out on this camera can be a little more challenging. But the nice thing is that it's modular enough that you can build up the camera if you need to, putting it into more of a studio mode. Now, I haven't gotten all the accessories still that I would like to have to extend the top handle a little bit further, so you can add some things like a monitor a little bit easier, as well as your wireless transmitter or a follow focus a little bit easier. You can see right now in this configuration, I've got the wooden camera V-mount back here. And the nice thing about this is that you can actually hot swap batteries, because you can have the Sony battery inside the body still, as well as a V-mount out the back. And then you've got your top plate, which is from Bright Tangerine. I had the Tilta kit prior to this, but I did find it was a little too quirky for me, and I ended up spending the money on the much more expensive kit. But it made a big difference for me, because now I have this top bracket as well that I can then send out this NATO rail to. Currently, it's holding the stock monitor from the camera, but I will be looking to upgrade to a small HD 5-inch monitor. So I've got the high bright viewing in a really nice form factor on the camera. So it's a lot more ergonomic to shoot with. Currently, I'm using the Small HD Ultra 7 to monitor myself in this video, and it's fantastic to use, but it can be a little bit bulky for certain situations where that 5-inch monitor does work a lot better for those travel jobs I do find myself on quite often. There's obviously newer cameras like the C80 that offer triple base ISOs, where this one has a dual base ISO at 12,800 and 800. But what those cameras still don't quite offer are the ergonomics that this one does. So we're still talking about the body a little bit here, but the really great thing about the FX6 is that rotating grip when you're shooting with it in its kind of base configuration if you don't have that grip further out. And even when you do, you can still rotate that with a specific RE rosette, which just makes shooting a lot easier when you need to maneuver yourself around really quickly, get a high shot, get back down for that low shot. Having that quick grip, kind of rotating grip, will make your life a lot easier while shooting. So although there are new camera technologies that will make your life easier in other ways, for my style of shooting, I find that having that rotating grip just makes a world of difference. When I need to get up on the shoulder quickly or drop it down to waist level, I can make those adjustments and not miss the shot. One of the things that I've been really happy to see change over the last few years is the stressing from a lot of industry professionals about how important audio actually is for your productions. When I was in film school, my audio professor, who you'll actually see in a video I'll link above, Mark Bone featured him in a video, and Stephen Barden basically told us that every feature film that you watch, 70% of that movie that you're watching is audio. You can't make a movie without good audio. And that's something that the Sony FX6 and FX9 do really well, because they have this hot shoe right up top here that will allow you to connect either the DJI Mic 2s or the Sony UWPD. I'll link that somewhere as well. But those configurations will actually allow you to run 2 channels of audio directly into the camera without taking up either of your XLR inputs. That means that you have room for a scratch mic like I have on top here, having your high quality audio right on top of the camera, as well as 2 people laved up. And then again, you still have one more XLR free. So if you want to have 3 people mic'd up, you could do that in a pinch with all of the 32-bit float formats. Because it's obviously hard to mix audio live while you're shooting and trying to get your frames. You're not an audio mixer, but you have those options if you're in a pinch and you really need to get clean audio from 3 or more people straight into camera. It's pretty special when a camera offers something like that. And as far as I know, there aren't too many other cameras in this price point that will offer something like that. Now, I got to throw out the caveat that you should probably hire an audio person when you're starting to mix more than 2 people on camera, because it's just going to get messy and you're guaranteed to get much better audio when you have a person whose dedicated job it is to get you good audio. Another very specific feature to the Sony Cinema line is the electronic VND. Now, this works like most other NDs, where it's going to stop the light down where you need to, but where it becomes very special is that you can actually ramp that ND up and down in micro steps. So you can actually fade your ND filters in and out when needed. And with the flip of a switch, you can actually set auto exposure on for the ND filter. So you can leave your hands off of that dial and just let the camera figure out the exposure with the ND filters on its own. So if you're moving from a really dark scene on a gimbal, say you're moving from inside to outside on a walk and talk or a specific scene, the camera will adjust that and ramp it really nice and smoothly from that dark scene to that more exposed scene on the outside, without you having to worry about it and without having to adjust your aperture, your ISO, or your shutter speed, which is something that just wasn't really possible before without a whole bunch of extra add-ons to the camera. Just does it inside now. So that's it. It's a bit of a rambly tangent as to why I think you should just consider saving some money and not purchasing that next latest and greatest camera unless you have the budget and there's a very specific reason for jumping up to that next new camera coming out in 2025 or 6. Cameras like your FX6s, your C70s, your R5s, Panasonic S5 II and 2X, they're all fantastic cameras and they're all going to do a great job because you bought them for a specific reason when you bought them. Unless your work has changed a ton over the last few years, you need to make that jump up, save yourself some money and maybe look at new lights. I always say lights and grip are gonna make your job that much easier as a DP, and that's what I get more excited about at this point in my career. If I get another floppy or an ultra bounce, that gets me super excited, whereas this camera I know is still gonna do absolutely everything I need, And creating a really nice image is all going to be in your composition, your framing, and your lighting of those images. Something that I'm still working on as a DP myself, working in very small budget productions. It's something that I always strive to get better at. And I guess that's what this channel is for too, is just to experiment. So enjoy NAB 2025, but just be smart about your purchases. Enjoy what you have. And if you're looking at a camera, consider this guy or the FX9 used. The FX9 was just discontinued, which, hey, might be an FX9 Mark II, which I'll be just as excited as you to see what it looks like, but pretty happy with this guy here. If you like this video, subscribe, like it, do all the things. Comment down below, what camera are you using? I'd love to hear. And if you have any comments about this guy, I'd love to hear those too. By the way, this is my home office. It took me a while to set this up because our studio, Evil Empire, is being rented out quite a bit, which is awesome. Just makes shooting at home a new challenge.